Good morning, and welcome to All People's Unitarian Universalist. My name is David Bindi, and I am your co-celebrant this morning. And if anybody would like to be part of being co-celebrant, we'll have a meeting after potluck so that you can all be part of this church, both in the seats and on the chancel. In the pulpit today is Dr. Kendra Weddle, who is currently serving as scholar in residence at North Haven Church in Dallas. She's especially interested in intersections of faith and feminism and in working for justice as faith in action. Kendra is a frequent guest in our pulpit, and we are happy to welcome her back this morning. Our Sunday service is a shared time of worship for all present, and we gather for music, for spoken words, and a time of reflection. Inspiration as a religious community. Let us come together in a spirit of compassion and respect for ourselves and in others attending this service. So I'll remind you to turn off your cell phone because I didn't turn off mine either. There we go. We especially welcome those who are visiting today. If you haven't yet done so, please sign in at the visitors table by the front door, where you can be placed on a mailing list for our weekly emails and our monthly information as to what's all going on at our church. Before we continue worship, there are some announcements here. Next Saturday at 9:30 until noon, there will be a work day here at the church to help spruce things up inside, outside. There's lots of little things that each one of us can do. We have a janitor that takes care of the big things, but things like picking up maybe washing the windows, scrubbing the sink just a little bit harder than we usually do. Just the things that make this our church. So thank you to anybody that can come out next Saturday, 9:30 until noon. There's a potluck dinner today after service. Please stay and join us. If you didn't bring anything, don't worry. There's always lots of food. And we're a little short on kitchen staff, so anybody that can stay and help clean up afterwards, that would be most appreciated. In the hallway to the RE wing, there's a table that has some books on it, free to a good home. We don't want to recycle them in the garbage. We'd like to recycle them intellectually. So please take one, share one with a friend. If you know of someone that might like a title, please take it. And if you don't take it this week, we'll take it to a Goodwill that serves battered women and abused children. So it will go to a good place. And the last announcement is on Monday at 7:30 will be the Spectrum concert here at All People's Church. They're all members of the Fort Worth Symphony Orchestra or their friends. It's going to be a fantastic concert. So please come and join us at 7:30. The concert is free. And everyone knows when you prepare something, you want to share it with others. Well, that's what the musicians have done. They've prepared their music and they want to share it with everybody. So if you know of anybody that likes classical music, please invite them along. Now, they do ask for a free will offering, but that money all goes to the musicians and it's not necessary. So if you don't have more than $1 to put in the plate, that's just fine. Come and listen to the music. And afterwards, we have a reception. And at this time, I'd like to thank everyone who's brought stuff to the reception. You don't get the information, but we never have a concert here that I don't have at least a half a dozen to a dozen people come up and tell me that this is the best Spectrum concerts ever because we have the best receptions. So thank you all for bringing extra goodies and stuff to share with the musicians and to share with the people that have come. Last time we had 104 people here, so things will change with the total eclipse, I suppose, but at 7:30 we'll have a tonal eclipse, so please come join us. During our potluck today, please consider enjoying our new inquiry series in Coleman Hall. The series provides an opportunity to learn about Unitarian Universalism and congregational life in an informal and interactive way. Today, our Director of Religious Education, Sarah Burrell-Harrop, will lead a discussion on Unitarian Universalism, history and theology. And inquirers will continue on every first and third Sunday and will include topics such as worship, religious education, justice and community, service and sharing our times and our talents. So please consider learning more about the church that we live in and participate in. Once again, if you're aspiring to be a co-celebrant, interested in learning more about being a co-celebrant, participating in our weekly worship services, training will be in the sanctuary today after our potluck. And we'd love to see you all there, and thank you. At 1 o'clock today, after the potluck, there's also a trans inclusion in our congregation course. And it will be held from 1 o'clock until 2:30 in Jagger's parlor. Join us this Sunday and next Sunday, same time, for a powerful segment about understanding congregational culture and of changing congregational culture within the trans community. Now, after all those announcements, please take a deep breath, relax, and enjoy our musical prelude by Misha.
Thank you, Misha, for the beautiful music. Our opening words this morning come from Reverend Gretchen Haley. We are keepers of hope, holders of memory, storytellers and song weavers pulling on this thread of truth, this other march of history that might otherwise fail to find its footing. That life is filled with kindness, bold beauty, courageous compassion, sacrifice for the common good, and a wide willingness to embrace neighbors and strangers as kin. We are here to do the work of hope, remembering the past, remembering ourselves, imagining our most possible future for this life that teeters too often on the edge of forgetting. We belong to each other. Bring all that you are, every shadow and every light, every hope, every fear, for this radiant hour. Come, let us be hope for each other. Come, let us worship together.
We now invite you to rise in body or spirit for the chalice lighting, for our opening hymn, and our spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting words are from Reverend Marjorie Montgomery. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift. Our opening hymn is number 38, Morning Has Broken. Now join in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. You may be seated. I would like to invite the young and the young at heart to come forward now for our time for all ages, right here in front of the chancel.
Oh, hi. Hi, how are you? Oh, good. It's so nice to see you this morning. And I actually, when I saw that you were, when I saw that you had something to play with, I wondered if you would tell me about it. What do you have here? You have Play-Doh. Can I? Oh, I see that. And you have a yellow piece. Do you have some? Where's your piece? You had some a minute ago. Oh, there we go. Yes, we have more. Yes, I do want some. Oh, I was hoping. So here's some red. What color do you have there? You have some too? Okay, you have black and white. So what were you making earlier when you were sitting out here? Robots. Oh, now that's pretty impressive. Oh, really? So you were getting some help. So I kind of wondered, so now you've got all the colors separated, but earlier, didn't you put the colors together? Could I put this one with the yellow? And is that good? That's not good. Really? Especially with Play-Doh. Because then, once you mix it...
What about paint?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can mix paint, right? So if I were to mix this Play-Doh, the red, with the yellow, and it would make orange, you're right, it would make orange, would it still be Play-Doh?
Yes.
It would still be Play-Doh. Are you sure?
Yes.
Right. I'm just mixing colors.
What color does yellow and red make?
Oh, orange.
How about red and blue?
Oh, she knows her stuff.
Now brown and black.
Oh, that is tricky.
Yellow.
Okay. Yeah. So the reason I was kind of interested in your Play-Doh and in mixing the colors and asking you if you still have Play-Doh when you mix it is that it's kind of interesting to think about how things can be put together.
Toilet.
And right, that is a toilet. That's great. You're very creative. So you can kind of put all this together and it changes some, but it's also still the same. It's still Play-Doh. And we're going to talk a little bit more later today about that same idea. I think you could make orange, right?
Yes, but only use a little.
Only use a little. Okay, if we only use a little, how about that? That much. Okay, so that's the right amount. Do you want to try?
Yeah.
Okay. That is perfect.
Let's turn it on.
Oh, yeah, try it. Oh, you're doing a good job mixing it. Here we go. We're almost there. There it is. Do you see the orange? That's great. Thank you all for coming up and talking with me this morning. Okay, I think that's a good plan. And thank you for sharing your Play-Doh. I'll give it back to you, okay? And I think we'll sing as you return to your seats.
Should we fix black and yellow the bait?
Well, I think you can.
Yeah, but we can only use a little bit.
There you go. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Please join in singing our children out. Number 414 as we leave this friendly place.
That was very fun. The Sufis tell this story. Once upon a time, a seeker came to one of the great teachers to ask for help with their problems and for guidance on the path to learn more teachings. To everyone's surprise, the teacher simply told the seeker to abandon their spiritual studies and leave his presence at once. Now, a kind-hearted visitor who saw this encounter began to question the teacher. "Why would you do such a thing?" he asked. "The seeker was asking for help and you denied him. They're unsure of their future and you did not listen and you did not help." And the teacher responded with a smile, "You shall have a demonstration of the teaching," the teacher said. Just at that moment, a bird flew into the room, darting here and there, not knowing where to settle and not finding a way to escape. And the Sufi waited. And finally, the bird settled near the only open window of the room. And then suddenly the sage clapped his hands. And alarmed, the bird flew straight through the opening of the window to freedom. The teacher looked at the well-meaning questioner. To those who question, the sound of that answer must be quite a shock, even an affront. Would you agree? And then he bowed.
This morning, Dan Sexton is going to speak to us about the pledge drive and the importance of pledges and the welfare of our church.
So this year's stewardship campaign is focused on raising the funds to hire a minister. To do that, we're asking people to increase their giving 20% and to start paying the new pledge amount now so that we can get a minister sooner. So I ask you to consider that and to please turn in your pledge form as soon as you can so we can get a tally. So what is this church? Are we a beacon of liberal religion in East Fort Worth? Are we a group that shares the same values? An extended family who walk through life together, helping each other along the way? Yes, we are all that. So I'm proud of the work this church does, and I believe we stand for something in this community. So let's make this church thrive. Thank you.
We are all those things and more. Every time we say good morning to each other, every time we make a telephone call, go to get together with each other, we're part of this community, part of this church. So the pledges are what they use as a budget. But we also have an opportunity to put some icing on top of that cake. Each Sunday, if you have a few extra dollars, throw it in the offertory, and that goes above the pledges so they can plan. We half of the money that's given each Sunday, we take half of the non-dedicated cash offerings that are received and share it with a local organization whose values and goals reflect those of our own. This quarter, we are supporting the Texas UU Justice Ministry, which is a statewide justice ministry that raises the voices of Unitarian Universalists' values in the public arena and seek to have those values enacted upon by the legislation and public policy. Please give generously. Will the ushers please come forward? The gifts of the congregation will be gratefully received. Please rise as you are willing and able. Join in singing our hymn number 134. Our world is one world. 134. Please be seated. In this time, when we seek a connection with all that is in our life, we do so. We may give a place for the great questions of our lives, for our longings and our celebrations. As a religious community, we covenant to share both our joys and our sorrows. Each week, there's a journal outside the entrance to the sanctuary where you can write a message of memory or hope before the service. And then we honor these messages by lighting 3 candles here next to our chalice. Also, at any time during our service, you are welcome to come forward and light a candle in our meditation center here at the side of the chancel. We have no messages of memories or hope this morning. So we'll pause for all the messages of hope and connectedness and celebrations that were not recorded and are in your hearts. We'll pause for a moment of silence, reflection, and then Misha will give us some peaceful meditation music. are by the Reverend Matt Alsbach. Breathe with me. Know that with each breath we take in molecules of air that were breathed by every person that ever lived. Breathe with me. And know that we are all interdependent. Breathe with me as we come together to do the holy work of interconnection and relationships. Breathe with me.
I am a D- yogi. Even though I've been practicing on and off for well over 10 years, you would probably never know it if you watched me in one of my classes. Take, for example, a recent one. I like it because the lights are kept low so you can barely see yourself in the mirror, which I think makes a class infinitely better. There were also candles flickering, reflecting off the mirrors, a perfect distraction from all of the breathing and squeezing, holding in and letting go. So there I am, every muscle, tendon, ligament stiff to the point of snapping rather than stretching. And our teacher says to move gently with strength into a seated position where both legs are bent in L shapes, and she's instructing us to do it with a little twist. It will squeeze out the toxins in our spine, she says. Well, there's no way I can sit on my mat with both legs bent as she instructs, or twist. And besides, every time she says we should feel this stretch on our sides, our ribs pulling away, adding space between them, I think, well, I might feel my ribs if my hamstrings weren't yelling at me so incessantly. You get the picture. But there is something that I am learning from my time practicing yoga, and that is that balance is the key. So we mirror poses on each side of the body using breathing exercises that use one nostril at a time. We train our attention to notice and seek to keep arms and legs, hands and feet, everything cooperating together. Balance is the goal. But I think balance is also one of the most difficult things for any of us to achieve. I once heard religion scholar Joseph Campbell talk about how we often put ourselves on one of two sides, the good as opposed to the bad, for example. But the wisdom traditions encourage us instead to strive for the tension in the middle. The power of aligning ourselves on opposing teams feels so much easier, maybe even today. Our entire political structure, for example, seems to be twisted so much that we're focused on standing against the other, those on the wrong side. And the stakes feel intense. And yet I want to make a distinction between participating in our civic responsibility in meaningful ways that include voting and grassroots organizing and giving our time and our money and working on behalf of greater justice and liberation for all people, and viewing the entire prospect in dualistic terms, that is, us versus them. Balance, in other words, putting ourselves in the middle, refuses to accept either or, and instead strives for both and, holding these opposing forces in tension. In yoga, it's pulling and pushing simultaneously, reaching up with one arm and pushing the other downward at the same time, or planting one's feet firmly on the mat while also reaching your arms toward the ceiling. Pulling without pushing or pushing without pulling results in falling out of your pose or strengthening only part of your body, getting an uneven stretch. The secret, which isn't all that secret, is to think of opposing forces and keep them in your mind at the same time. The problem of losing our balance and succumbing to dualism is that it accepts the premise of separation and cultivates the experience of life as conflict, competition. We come to see ourselves as separate, unaffected by, and others unaffected by our actions or our intentions. And so how helpful it was for us to sing that hymn just a moment ago, calling us to remember how much we are affected by each other because we are connected. So fortunately, we have in our immediate future, as in tomorrow, an opportunity to dig deep into this lesson of unity and diversity, of seeking balance rather than focusing on opposites. That is, if the weather cooperates. The eclipse is that rare moment in nature that tries to remind us of the ancient wisdom we so often forget. The sun and the moon will work together, and they will show us the marvelous mystery of unity, if only for a few moments. I think that instinctually we know that the eclipse has the power to move us beyond mere curiosity. I mean, we are preparing. We are finding and securing those glasses, the ones that we should wear and not the fake ones. We're checking the weather. We're making sure that we're in the right location. We're not stuck in traffic somewhere. We might be calling in to school or work anticipating that we're not feeling all that well. We're filling our tanks with gas. We're making last-minute grocery runs today, anticipating that tomorrow there'll be all kinds of people and we won't be able to move around. But I think that deeper than all of this, there is an anticipation in the interconnected reality that's on display when the moon crosses over the sun. The animals will pause. Birds stop chirping. The wind will still. The light will change. And the wonder of it all will be palpable. We won't just be observing this event. We will participate in it. All of us. The trees and the turtles, the fish and the flowers, the horses and the hounds. We seem to have this collective inner sense that there is more. There is mystery here that we cannot quantify or accurately describe, and at its core, it is a witness to the deepest reality that we are all in this together. Much as we sometimes live in the make-believe world of individualism, it is a lie, and we know it. The Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh coined a term that I think is helpful for our understanding just how connected we are. Interbeing, he said, is the true reality of our experience. He once used meditation on a piece of paper, simple piece of paper, as a way to imagine how interconnected we are. Imagine all of the elements that make up a piece of paper. The soil, the water, the sunshine, the glue, the dye, the chemicals used to make it, the seed of the tree, the roots, the people who ran the machines, their thoughts, their feelings, their ancestors. It goes on and on and on. And once when he invited people to think deeply about all aspects of a single piece of paper, he then lit it on fire, and they watched the flame consume the paper. And he asked those watching, well, what is the paper now? Where is it? Where is the sunlight? Where is the seed, the rain, the people who made it? Where is the smoke from the flame? Where is the tree? This simple thought experiment is profound, I think. And of course it applies not just to a piece of paper, but to all reality. In our story for today, we learn about someone who is a seeker, someone who's on the path of curiosity, who wants to be more in tune with life, to understand the questions that life poses, presumably to gain more happiness, joy, and contentment. And this person must have traveled far enough along the path of religion to trust that someone with more experience or more training, years on the quest, would know more and would have some helpful answers. This strikes me as an illustration of desiring balance, but so far hasn't been able to kind of achieve that. And as you know, religion is just a toolbox filled with tools to help us make sense of who we are, why we're here, what life is trying to teach us. And yet it is possible, you know, to get all those tools out of the box, to use them appropriately, and, well, still not achieve what we hope. And I think maybe this is where our seeker was. And I think it's a place where many of us find ourselves at some time or another. We've employed these tools, and they've been helpful for a season, but maybe they don't often quite complete the job. We aren't sure what other tools we might need, and sometimes it feels like we didn't get the entire set. But in our story, the wise teacher realizes the problem. It isn't that the seeker hasn't sought well or rightly, and the teacher seems to realize that more of the same isn't going to solve the problem. Something else is needed. Can we trust that there is, in fact, no wrong way, no path of disconnection or independence? Even though it's often hard to describe and difficult to understand, the unified principle remains. Opposites are partners, working together. And we need each and every part of the whole, even when it feels like we couldn't be further apart. I think that the Sufi poet Rumi illustrates this idea in his wonderful poem, The Guest House. It goes like this. This human being is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, trust each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Well, the sage knew this truth as well. The bird had landed in the room, presumably not where it wanted to be. And after taking in its surroundings, the bird perched near the window, unsure where to go. And after taking and not sure where to go, and then it stopped. Took a breath, looked around. And with one sudden sound, the clap of a hand, the bird instinctively knew the way to freedom, of liberation. It didn't have to think about it, but just needed to follow its natural reflex. Isn't our life maybe a little like that too? We know this time period of polar opposites is wrong. It feels horrible. In fact, I imagine most of us could readily agree on that. Our reality today does not feel right, and we can point to any number of scientific statistics to confirm what we feel. We are, like the bird, poised in a place where we know it doesn't fit, and yet we don't know how to get out. So our question is, are we willing to listen for the clap that will launch us into a new direction, into one of freedom and liberation? And what if that clap that we are waiting for is already within us? A collective we. What if the source of our way forward is one that will only come from our collaboration with the unity of opposites? As the moon passes in front of the sun tomorrow, maybe it's the other way around. Yeah. As they come together tomorrow, may we be reminded that we are not independent, that we experience our best lives when we embrace our interdependence, that true liberation is knowing the reality of interbeing. If we work together, I think we'll get there. Amen. Our closing hymn today, if you will please stand as you, in body and or spirit, and join in singing number 360, Here We Have Gathered.
These words are by Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are all together again.
As we go forth from this place today, let us remember those words of the meditation, that because we have been in this space breathing together, we are taking one another with us as we go. Amen.
Amen.